Welcome to Ask SQL Family podcast. This is episode number 9, and our guest today is Pedro Lopes.
Hello, Pedro.
Good morning.
Good
How are you,
morning.
Camille?
Very good, very good. This
Very
is
nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. So this is the last day of past summit. Yeah, we are
Exactly.
on the clinic, Microsoft clinic stand. So could you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Pedro Lopes. I'm a program manager with the SQL Server Tiger team. For those that don't know, the Tiger team owns all in-market versions of SQL, and we connect with customers to make them successful in the platform, which means doing a lot of reactive work, fixing bugs, issuing service packs, cumulative updates and whatnot, but also proactive work, helping shape architectures, write best practice articles. We also own a lot of the documentation for in-market versions. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. I'm part of that team. Me specifically, I own the Relational Engine for in-market versions, which means everything that makes your queries tick, if you will. And I mainly enjoy performance troubleshooting and performance tuning.
Okay. And tell me where are you living? You're working for Microsoft in Redmond, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you living? There's some area.
It's close. It's 12 miles from here.
Okay.
It was snowing this morning, actually, which
Yeah,
is
it
nice.
was freezing this morning, yeah.
Yes, but it was actually snowing there, which is not common where I live. But it was a nice surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm living close enough to Redmond campus.
Okay. Tell me, how long or from science version do you work with SQL Server?
Oh gosh, so I've been working with SQL Server only since 2002. Well, actually, it's been some years now. Gonna need to think about it. But so when I started with SQL 2000, but they still had SQL 7 laying around, and I guess there was a couple of SQL 6.5 laying under some desks. So basically, that's what I started.
Okay.
Okay, Pedro, how do you think how tough or how easy it's for you to adopt to new versions because of SQL Server? Because right now we have new SQL Server, let's say every 2 years, and maybe even more frequently.
Yes, so definitely the release cycles are shortening. If you think of it, it only took around 16 months between the time we released SQL Server 2016 to releasing SQL Server 2017. And that has to do with, like it was said in the keynote and in several other sessions, that has to do with keeping up the pace of innovation, right? If you would have to wait 3 years, 4 years for a new version that comes with everything that's been developed in the previous years, you as a SQL Server user are losing a lot of what's happening in the data world. For example, using our algorithms over the data on SQL Server, so you don't have to move the data out, that is extremely powerful. Or now the interesting use of Polybase. So imagine if you would take years for you to be able to adopt what it is becoming an industry standard, and you as a company that's using SQL Server would be left behind. So indeed, times are changing in that perspective.
Yeah, and the IT required the very fast adopt the new features. Yeah.
True. So we grant you there are a few, let's say, frictions. For example, when we implemented the new cardinality estimator in SQL 2014, and people were upgrading, that generated some friction. So for the majority of workloads, that actually works very, very well. But there are a few occasional regressions, and we understand that. Now with 2016 and now 2017, and the use of query store and automatic plan regression, that's taken care of automatically by you. So you as a production DBA don't need to really care that much about that specific anymore. So you can upgrade more confidently, let's say from SQL 2012 or 2014 to 2017, take advantage of query store using automatic plan regression, and if any regressions happen, you don't need to decide, oh, should I implement a trace flag or a setting that turns my server back into old C? No. Whatever queries have issues, they will be fixed by using a previously known good version of the plan, but that still leaves something on the table for you as the DBA, because you still need to go in, understand, using a number of tools I've demonstrated during my sessions here, find out what's not good, why it's regressed, and then do the necessary work with your developers to make sure the query works natively in whatever is the new compatibility level. But the point is, in production, you don't need to live with a nightmare that maybe, oh, a part of my important workload regressed, and now what do I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from that perspective, we'll need the developers, but we don't need the DBAs.
I disagree, because here's the thing. It is, in my perspective, part of the so there are two main aspects here. Yes, if you've developed your career doing performance tuning, some of the more menial tasks may be taken care of for you. Now, for example, the practical result of a regressed workload, let's say when you move from 2012 to 2017, is, let's say, 20% of my workload, because sometimes two wrongs make a right. It worked better, although it wasn't necessarily a better plan, but it worked better from a performance standpoint in a previous version. And now moving to 2017, because that can be detected and corrected automatically, you as a DBA don't need to do that part, but you still need to provide the root cause for the change. You still, as an experimented DBA, need to provide mitigation steps, actually more than that, resolutions, to make sure that the queries that have regressed, you take them, you tune them to work natively in, let's say, 2017 version or whatever you're using, and then you'll be able to do away with the mitigation that automatic plan regression implemented, because now you're running in a better shape in the native version of the compiler.
Yeah, so DBAs shouldn't worry about their future, yeah?
I don't think they should. And by the way, with all those new technologies coming into the SQL Server ecosystem, like Polybase and R and others, you have more diversity, if any. So it's ever changing world, yes, but it's also a world that allows you to learn something new and keep yourself relevant, if you will.
Yeah, updated, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and this is great explanation, because for example, what I have heard from customers and people that occasionally just look at the system, they were thinking that really we don't need administrators, but it is exactly like you explained. The role is changing, is evaluating. It's not, that might not be simple tasks in a moment, they will be different tasks. So maybe you don't have to know everything about tuning, because you have right now better tools, but other things still, or other features will still require DBA and people who understand what's going on in the...
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yes.
Pedro, tell us, what kind of specific tools are you using during your work?
To be honest, I'm a huge fan of SSMS. Being a user of SSMS for years, obviously, and I've used tools from our partners, which are doing an excellent work in leveraging all the diagnostics artifacts we're putting into the engine with their own tools, which is great. We're not competing with anyone, let me be very clear.
Yeah.
But with all the because I work a lot with performance tuning and query performance troubleshooting, I'm a big user of ShowPlan, and anything that revolves around using ShowPlan as a one-stop shop for everything you need to know about the query execution. The context on which it executed, because we've added information about statistics loaded, we've added information about trace flags active in the system. Everything you need to know, the context of execution of a query. But then also we've added a lot of performance metrics on each operator in the plan. So all of that is we've been working with customers, with users, and we ourselves are users of the tools in order to troubleshoot and help our own customers, right? So right now we're releasing a new tool, as you know. So
exactly. I wanted to ask about it. It won't replace the SSMS, yeah?
Right away, no, it won't. Let's be very clear. So our investments will go into that multi-platform tool, absolutely, right?
Okay.
We're not at a point, because the tool, like it was actually explained yesterday by Ken, which is the engineering manager that owns that tool, that the source code will be published to GitHub, and the and we will call upon the community to help improve the tool, because it's basically a front end for a collection of microservices. So at this point in time, for example, for the scenarios I was talking about, which is deep query troubleshooting, and some tools that we've embedded over the course of the last year into SSMS, they're not available in the new tool, but they will be in due time, and that can happen faster or not, also depending on the community helping, because users with enough skills to know what they want out of a tool but be able to contribute to its success, I think it makes up a much better outcome. So in a nutshell, SSMS will not be deprecated yet, because there's no
replacement.
There's no complete replacement. But yes, it's true that our investments will be further and further on to the new tool, because it's multi-platform, right? And because it can leverage help from the community. Whereas SSMS...
remind me the name of the new tool. It was system...
It's Microsoft SQL Operation Studio. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the name.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's MSOS.
MSOS.
I know the acronym. MSOS. It's Microsoft SQL Operation Studio.
Operation Studio. For this application, everyone can be involved in developing this project?
Yeah, so it will be, the source code will be made available in GitHub shortly. The preview, as far as I know, will start in mid-November. We'll release a preview so that everyone can start to use it. And again, it's the rich environment where a user will point out what he needs out of a tool. Maybe it's comparing with SSMS, but maybe it's also getting something new that SSMS never had. And being able to provide that feedback, but better yet, if he has the skill set to actually submit changes to GitHub and improve the tool on his own, and then let the community leverage all of that, I think that's the best world we could be.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea, I think.
Okay, Pedro, what do you think about MVPs those days? About the program and people? How you see their role?
They're great partners. That's what I can tell you. We have, as you might know, we have a direct feedback channel from MVPs, because we share a DL with them, email list. The MVP community is both a hardcore user of SQL Server that pushes SQL Server to its limits. In fact, many MVPs are themselves consultants, or they work for our end customers in terms of SQL Server. So they do provide a bridge to those scenarios and to the feedback that stems from that. And then just giving us frank and honest feedback that we use in order to improve the product, because that's how we've been doing it for more than 2 years now. We build what the users want to use. We don't build anything hoping someone will adopt it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
That approach. Okay, let's talk about your person. From the a little bit not only professional view, but also your personal point of view. What's your hobby? Do you have any hobbies?
Hobbies?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I do. I'm a huge movie buff. I devour movies. I have my own personal collection of Blu-rays and DVDs. Yes, I'm still old school.
Okay.
I've never went to the fad of getting a home SAN and then downloading movies and whatnot. I really go and buy the Blu-rays and buy the DVDs.
It's still not very old school, If you told me that you have tapes or something like this, that would be very old school.
People say it's strange that I still do that and not just download the version that's made available, or just sign up to Netflix or Hulu or something. No, I still like to get that. I still like to sort them alphabetically. Yes, it's like an index sitting in my shelf. I have over 1,600 DVDs and Blu-rays, and yeah, it's one of the things I do. And I also collect movie memorabilia.
What is the movie memorabilia?
artifacts that were either used in films or are representative of films, like statues or props used in movies or stuff like that.
Okay. So.
So that's really a hobby, and I think it's also your passion.
Oh, absolutely.
As well.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also works like this. What about your work-life balance?
You're my what?
Work-life balance. You know, this is very common, currently very common phrase. You know, how to.
Camille, I thank you. Let me interrupt you there. I know what a work-life balance is. I was jesting with you. It's variable. It varies. Sometimes it balances more to the work, and sometimes it balances more to the life. That's what I can tell you.
Okay, fine.
So I expect you are a very busy man also, working for Microsoft. There must be a pretty lot of tasks every day you have to deal with. Yes, so.
Yeah, so like I said, I work in a team that is outwards facing. Our main mission is to help customers become successful on SQL Server. That takes a lot of facets, if you will. That includes, for example, a customer opens cases with CSS and they find bugs, for example, in some edge case. Because let's remember that SQL Server runs on millions of servers with billions of different workloads, and it needs to adapt to all of them. Now, it's bound that you will find edge cases where the server misbehaves or even hits bugs, right? So that's a part of the work. We need to work with those customers to make sure that we unblock them as fast as possible and make them successful in the platform they're using. But also for example, in learning from those interactions and seeing what we can implement at tools level or at the engine level to make sure that once you hit a blocker for you, which may not be a bug, maybe a performance issue or something like that, you have the tools and the artifacts in the engine to quickly identify and take you away from that problematic place, right? And that's a huge part of my work, specifically, like I said in the beginning, within the Relational Engine.
So it must be really fascinating because you have feedback from people that are using it, using the engine, SQL Server. They use it in very different ways, and you see how the work done by Microsoft is consumed by people. So probably you will never get bored at work. So you don't definitely have boring work.
Yes, that I can tell you. There's never a boring day. Yes.
Yes, I can imagine, but it's fascinating, telling the truth. So, my question would be that imagine that you are speaking to students. What would you tell them? You know that they are going to start their careers in IT market. What should they choose? Do you have any do you have any advices for them? How should they start? How should they build their careers?
Well, that's a tough question, and I don't have a definite answer. If I can give any advice, would be stay open-minded. Be conscious that even if you have a 20-year career or you're just starting, you will learn every day, and be open to learning every day. And technology changes around us at an incredible pace, and keep up. Find your space and thrive in it. Leverage the work of others. Collaborate. Work as a team. I guess keeping up that student spirit throughout the rest of your career. I think it would be a good advice here. What technical area to choose? Well, I personally love databases, but I don't expect everyone to work with that.
Okay, let me rephrase the question then. How you start as a young man, in the IT, and or maybe how it happened that you start working for Microsoft?
Oh my God. Okay.
I hope you remember that.
Yes, fairly well. I started working with SQL Server by accident. I've always worked with technology. That was how I started even in high school, and then moved on to college. But the point is, actually in college I majored in something different, but then went back to IT and to computer programming. But what I was going to say is, I've got into working with databases by accident, starting actually with SQL Server 2000 and early versions of Oracle, and then I found that I loved being able to model data, to answer business questions by understanding how to model the data to provide those answers, and I got hooked ever since. Basically, working for Microsoft. Well, I'm on my 8th year at Microsoft, and as you would, I saw an ad and I applied and run my course of interviews, and one leads to the other, and almost 8 years later, I'm here in Redmond, working with stuff I love every day.
Okay, great. So you are making a lot of speeches across the conferences, yeah? So how you prepare yourself for the speech?
So I'd say there are two main schools of preparedness, if you will. There are those that prepare with a month in advance, and they've locked down their sessions and their demos, and everything is locked down a month beforehand. I don't belong to that club.
Okay.
However, I do keep an updated, let's say, master collection of topics I'm passionate about and I like to talk. And when I'm preparing for a conference, I pull them together, let's say 2 weeks before. Maybe I'll refresh the demos. Sometimes I refresh the demos minutes before the session starts.
Oh, wow.
Because I sometimes have that, when you have that eureka moment, aha, that's something I'd like to show, and do those. So I rehearse the demos only a couple times just to make sure they can flow, but sometimes impromptu I will just show some more detail that I was anticipating or something, also depending on how the questions I'm getting and how the people are reacting to it, right? So there's some degree of preparedness and there's some degree of improvisation.
Okay, nice. Damian, any comments, question in that area?
Well, yes, because I also do some speeches as well, and nowadays I cannot somehow imagine that you can be prepared like months before a conference, because everything is changing, especially in the cloud. So in the Azure, you can be very surprised that there are a lot of new features you haven't expected to be there. So I think we have to be we have to change things almost every day or every week, in best case every month. But maybe we can ask you about something else. Do you have any animals at home?
Do I have any what? I'm sorry?
Animals.
Animals?
Oh, no. No, I don't. And my kids are begging me for a pet dog, and I'm almost breaking, so possibly very soon.
Dogs are very good for kids. So I have two cats, and they are playing together, and everything is still fine at home.
Yeah, but they don't take care of themselves.
No,
right?
no, they don't, definitely.
So now that my kids are old enough to be responsible, the trade-off will be getting a pet. You are mainly responsible for them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if they accept that, then okay.
That's right.
They are playing together and destroying together everything.
That I hope it happens not that often, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Camille.
The next question is, which achievement are you satisfied the most of your, private or professional life?
Well, I'm super proud of my kids. Everything they do every day. That's on a personal aspect. I think that's my greatest achievement, and I think their mother has, my wife has much more credits on that than I do. Having said that, professionally, I can't put my finger on one thing. Again, I'm working with a fantastic team, of fantastic people. I'm learning every day. Hopefully, I'm contributing something, and I really can't point out anything specific. Every release, every CU, I'm proud that we are doing the work that the customers expect from us, and that's what fulfills me at the end of the day.
I can notice that you use the Twitter as a way of communication. Are you a fan of Twitter, or why you choose that way of communication?
Well, in that case, I'm just a follower. So I know that community is fairly active in Twitter, especially during conferences and whatnot. And it gets immediate attention, but it's also it also fades away very quickly, right? I wouldn't say I'm not a heavy user of Twitter. I use it as another means to try to evangelize the work that we've been doing, and with that try to help people take advantage of the improvements that they may expect from the work that you're doing.
Okay, I would like to get back to some work stuff. What do you think about passion at work? Because from my perspective, if you love what you do at work and it is really your passion, you really can have many successes almost every day. Do you think the same?
I would agree. You would have your personal satisfactions, if you will. I loved when we were able to show the world plan comparison and plan analysis, and I loved when we were able to demonstrate to the community ways that they may, or small changes that we've put in because the community demanded us to, and that drives a sense of satisfaction. Yes.
Is that answer on your question, Damian?
Of course, yes, of course. We have a great community in Poland, data community, which also organizes SQL Day, as you can remember. And
yes,
is there any specific advice you could say to people who would like to start doing their talks during the community meetings? Because we have a lot of leaders like Kamil, me and other great guys in Poland, but sometimes we see people that would like to tell something, but they somehow don't want to go on stage and talk to other people. Do you have any advice how to start? How to not be scared?
Well, I would say start by talking about something that's close to you. If you work with the technology and you faced challenges before, share with the community how you've overcome them. Others are possibly facing the same, and they would welcome the lessons that you've learned and how you've overcome them. I would say that's an excellent way to start sharing with the community. And about stage fright, there's not something I can help with, to be honest. It's just take a deep breath before the plunge and go for it. The community is like a SQL family. No one will grill you for attempting to share with the community. Everyone will welcome that. So don't be afraid of sharing, and start by sharing what's close to you, what you think others can leverage. Because in all honesty, if you faced a challenge before, it's possible that others out there are now facing that challenge, and you would be able to help them.
Yes, and that's our role as leaders. Yes, we have to try to build the community and support possibly new leaders or people who would like to share the knowledge. And my thinking about is that people sometimes don't want to speak, don't want to talk to other people, because they think that their knowledge is not on appropriate level. maybe they think that they knew something.
I'd say that's human thinking that. I would also challenge you to say, if you don't share and gauge your knowledge with others, how can you learn if you don't expose yourself?
Exactly.
Not locked away in a basement, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the point. That's the point.
Okay, Pedro, at the end of our chit chat, I would like to ask you where we can find you, where people can find you. Contact with you.
Twitter is a good place to start, both through the MS SQL Tiger Twitter handle or my own SQL PTO. There's a contact form in our blog, for example, which comes directly to our team, so those are good ways of doing it.
Yeah, we put the links to those, the Twitter and to the blogs at the on the post. Okay, Pedro, thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you very much.
I'll see you next time. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us, listening this podcast and time spent jointly.
You can find this podcast on website sqlplayer.net.
Share this episode if you like it and let us know if you want to hear a specific person from SQL community or maybe about interesting topic or technology.